very warm welcome to everyone. A very good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking the time to join this wonderful webinar today, which is Personal Finance Masterclass. Now, we have a very special speaker for us, which is Akshat Malhotra. Ethica as a company has been associated with Akshat for the last 3 years, and we've done some amazing sessions around personal finance, insurance, mutual funds. So it's a very special day that we are inviting Akshat back again to the forum after a really long time. Akshat, a very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for agreeing to do this for us. So I'll quickly begin with the introduction for Akshat Malhotra, and then I'll hand over the floor to Akshat, and he'll take us through the session. So Akshat Malhotra is the founder of Pennywise, and he has a BTech in IT, and he brings over 11 years of experience working in MNCs across India, USA, and Mexico to the table. Throughout his career, Akshat recognized a common struggle among people from diverse professional backgrounds, which is a lack of financial literacy, hindering their ability to build lasting wealth. Fueled by a desire to drive a positive change, he made a bold decision to leave his corporate career and dedicated over 2 years to immerse himself in the depths of personal finance to make the unthinkable career switch. During his journey, he completed certifications from the National Institute of Securities Market, which is NISM, and a wide array of personal finance courses to get a deeper understanding of the subject. Coming from a non-finance education background, Akshat empathizes with the challenges people face in comprehending financial jargon. His strength lies in simplifying complex personal finance topics through relatable real-life examples, making sessions engaging and easy for all. In a short span of time, Akshat has facilitated around 70 plus workshops on personal finance till date that were attended by about 11,000 plus participants. So that's a wonderful credential to have, Akshat. We're very happy to have you once again, and the floor is all yours now.
Thank you, Shiva. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. And as always, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be here once again. It's always special to be with Ethica. I love what you guys are doing, and love the energy that your participants bring to these workshops always. So yes, as I was parallelly chatting with some of the people in the chat, is trying to learn where everyone is from. But in the meanwhile, I'll also want to know how excited is everyone for this session. So folks, come on a scale of 1 to 10, quickly put in the chat how excited are you for this session. 10, 10, 10. Shiva says 100. Somebody says 11. Madhu. Oh, thank you, Madhu. Oh, wow. Nitish has a very specific number, 9.897. Nitish, I hope you are this specific with your personal finance as well. Chirag says 111. Awesome. Thank you, guys. This is so much of energy. This is exactly what I needed, right? 10,000. Amazing. Okay, perfect. So yes, as Shiva was introducing me, we are here today to run a quick masterclass on personal finance. I will go ahead and share my screen without delaying further. I hope you're all able to see the slideshow now. Shiva, can you quickly give me a validation if you're able to see
Yes, sir. We can see your slides.
Okay,
yes.
perfect. And yes, so namaste and very warm welcome on behalf of Ethica, on behalf of Pennywise. What we thought this time was to do this session on the basis of financial resolutions for 2025. So we are right in the beginning of the year. Yes, we have a month that's passed away, but we're still at the beginning. We're I'd say we are almost over with the hangover of the previous year and now getting into the grind of the new year. So financial resolutions for 2025, smart budgeting. There is no better time to do a budgeting estimate for yourself right when the government has announced some amazing news, as well as with the year right starting right ahead. And that's what we thought could be the theme of the session this day today, right? On the other hand, I was just thinking, it's Valentine's Day as well today. So my 2 cents would be marry your money, because money would never lose you then, and right, and I think that's the best gift that you could always have with yourself. Anyways, so jokes aside, once again, a very warm welcome, and I'll get started. Quick disclaimer out there, just want all of you to be very, very aware and careful. We at Pennywise are financial educators. We are not agents or advisors. In no manner are we going to try and sell you any products. Yes, today's session, I might take a number of examples of products from various companies, but in no manner are we affiliated to any one of them. All we want to do is educate you so that you could take informed decisions with the right tools and skills that we will share with you today, right? That's the intention. That's our motto. We want all of us to pay attention to our personal finances, and at the same time, pay attention to those nuances, to those shortcomings that we might not focus on very often, and that's what this session is going to do all about. Cool. I see the chat is still going on. Wonderful. Keep it flowing. Keep it flowing. I'm loving. I love to see the responses that are coming in. Some of the people are happy Valentine's Day to all of you. Namaste. Wonderful. Okay. Okay. Chalo. So I thought since all of you are here. Acha, before we do that, sorry, I think I broke the session. But chalo, let's start with this now. Free money for all of you. We thought, since all of you are here today on the occasion of Valentine's Day, why not start with some free money? How cool is that? Right? Now, all you've got to do is just share your bank accounts with Shiva and he will do the remaining. Right? Okay, folks. Wait. Lots of frauds already going on in the market. So please do not share your bank accounts, your OTPs, your cards, or anything and everything to anyone. It's a crazy world that's going out there right now with fraudsters just after our bank account details. So disclaimer, I don't want any of your details, and neither should you be sharing it with anyone whomsoever comes across asking you for whatever reason, right? But well, for this exercise, let's think of some virtual money. So think of it this way: all of you are out there in a mall shopping. The weekend is almost there. It's Friday. Valentine's Day once again. So think of it that you're out there with your partner, with your spouse, with your family, with your friends, and you're already on a shopping spree. And that's when you get a message from your bank that 1 lakh rupees of bonus has been credited into your bank account. Huh? Now, now, what you got to do is you got to quickly tell me how are you going to spend this 1 lakh rupees. So the way you've got to answer it is not ABCD, but you have to mandatorily spend one something on each and every option, and so your answer should look like A X amount, B Y amount, C D Z amount, D A amount, right? So that's how you've got to give me the answer. It cannot be ABCD. Yeah, somebody wants 10 lakhs. Sure, man. Why not? AD. No, guys, you think of it this way, right? So, yes, I think Nitish started. D50. I don't accept Nitish your answer. Come on, guys. Okay, so what you don't have to be thinking that you're attending a personal finance session. You have to go away from the personal finance mindset, and you're already on a shopping spree. You've already, let's say, spent 1 lakh rupees, or you've already spent 50,000 rupees buying the gadgets that you wanted, buying the clothes that you wanted, and now you've got another 1 lakh. So think of it that way, right? B option could be treated as, buy anything, right? Not just a phone, but any other thing that you've been wanting to buy. Okay, let me read out some. So A20, C30, okay, 30, 30, 30, 30, 40. Stuti says, okay, she doesn't want to. Oh, 30, 30, 40 is decent. She doesn't want her emergency copper. She wants to go for a vacation and buy something nice. I will accept that answer. That seems to be a decent one. Venugopal says 20, 20, 30, 30. Still not in the shopping spree mindset. A20, B20, C20, D40 is what R Gunashekharan is saying. Oh wow, Rajesh, no, not at all accepted. One person, huh? So okay, where will you go for a vacation in 1,000 rupees? Tell me first. And what kind of phone are you going to buy in 1,000? 10, 70, 20, 33. Awesome. Great answers. Temple near you. Oh, that's wonderful. Absolutely. Why not? Right? 24 vacation. Wonderful. Oh, love the energy for flowing in, guys. Wonderful. Okay. So we'll wait on for the answer. We'll wait on till the end of the session, and hopefully all of you will be able to validate whether the answers you've mentioned right now are good or the ones later on will be better, right? So let's move it. Let's move it. And I think the way you will, a quick check before that. How many of you have attended one of our sessions earlier? Anyone who here who's attended any of our sessions previously, or we have everyone who's new? Okay, the no's can stay, the yeses can say. Okay, so I think everyone's new. Awesome. This is even better. I love it. Okay, so the way we structured this session is why, what, and how. Why is it that you should save money? Why is it that you should invest money? What is it that you should think about, and how do you go about savings and investments? And finally, how part as to how will you maximize the profits of this, how will you make the most of your money, right? So that's the way we've structured this session into three parts, right? So I think, why should you save? Almost all of us do understand this. For anything and everything that we always wanted to buy, for the car that we wanted to buy, for the shoe that we saw in the mall last weekend, for the vacation that we always wanted to go. So in order to fulfill all of our life aspirations, we want to save money, right? And that's how we'll be able to achieve each of these. And at the same time, for any sort of emergencies that could come up, it could be a medical emergency, it could be an emergency in the terms of, a loss in the business, or maybe some sort of a financial loss with respect to your job or any other place, right? So a financial loss could be there, and therefore we should save money so that we could take care of ourselves during those rainy days, right? And that straight away brings me to this concept that you must have heard. And I'm purposely running a little faster through these slides, because I do assume that all of you understand that, but for those of you who are still new, maybe this could quickly help you brush up, right? And one of the key things that always comes into is treated as the first thing when it comes to your personal finance etiquettes, is an emergency fund, right? I'm sure all of you have heard of it enough. An emergency fund is a safety bucket that comes to be helpful in case we have any problems or anywhere where we do not have a regular flow of income coming in, right? So just think of it, typically something happens, and whatever is your monthly income, by chance, you're not able to get that for the next few months, then this emergency fund is what should be the ideal fund, which you should which should help you take care of your needs during those months, right? And therefore, how do you build an emergency fund? Listen to this one carefully. An emergency fund, so the thumb rule says that if you're single, then your expenses into 6 months. So let's say if you're earning 50,000 rupees, and you're spending, let's say you're spending 50,000 rupees a month, then on your fixed expenses, then expenses into 6 months, 50,000 into 6, about 3 lakh rupees should be with you in your emergency fund always, right? Married, expenses into 9 months. Married with dependents, expenses into 12 months, right? Because with more responsibilities, more dependencies, you want to have a larger corpus of emergency fund, right? So the first column, the second column helps you identify how much do you need in your emergency fund. The third column also suggests that, okay, now that you know how much you need in an emergency fund, where do you keep it, right? So you don't have to keep everything in your savings bank account, because again, the savings bank account would not give you any interest at all, or will give you very, very limited interest, which will not even help you beat inflation. So therefore, the suggested breakdown is, you put 20% of your emergency fund in as cash or as money in your savings account. It should be left idle. In case of immediate emergency, you could go to the ATM, or just swipe in your debit card or use the UPI feature. About 40% of the money should be parked into fixed deposits. That would at least help you beat, or at least help you meet the inflation, if not beat it. And the last 40% is what should be there parked in the liquid mutual funds, because liquid mutual funds give you slightly higher returns as FDs, and at the same time, they also are the most liquid sort, which means that whenever you need money, you will be immediately able to withdraw from a liquid fund, right? For those of you who don't know what a liquid fund is, I'm happy to answer that at the end of the session, right? But 20, 40, 40 need not keep all of your money in your bank account or in cash. You should park it in this proportion, right? Moving on. So now that we understand saving money is okay. So before that, quick question here: is saving money enough? Can I have a quick yes or no? Is saving money enough? No, no, no. Okay, why? Reason. It should be invested. Why should it be? It doesn't grow. You need to earn it. Perfect. Right? So saving, yeah, you need to earn it. Yeah, obviously, I'm assuming all of us are earning. So that's why we are here to manage our money better. But yes, I think as many of you rightly said, no, it's not. It's not because of this fundamental reason called inflation. Inflation is something that impacts all of us, and the easiest way to understand inflation is a bottle of Coke, right? Year 2000, the same bottle of Coke would be about 15 rupees, right? A PET bottle of 500 ml Coke. And and in the year 2025, it's close to about 45 to, I guess, about 50-55 rupees as well in certain parts of the country, right? So it's almost 3x in a span of 20 years, 20-25 years. And that's what inflation is. So if we just save our money, we will not really be able to make any use of it. We really need to invest it, right? And one of the things what we do at Pennywise is we like explaining all of these things with trackers, with real life examples. And therefore, what we've done is although you might be able to find this all across the internet, but we have also created these super simple, easy to use trackers for you, right? So say you want to understand what 10,000 would look like 20 years from now, right? All you've got to do is come here, or maybe let me play around with this and put 20,000, right? And 20,000 doesn't work. I don't know. So there's some, uh, yes, it should work now, right? So let's say I've put in 20,000 rupees, right? This calculator would help us understand how much does 20,000 rupees in a span of 20 years makes our money grow, right? So 20, anything which is 20, anything which is worth 20,000 rupees today, the value of that same thing 20 years from now will be about 64,000 rupees, right? So for example, I'm just saying if this glass is worth 20,000 rupees, the value of this same glass 20 years from now will be about 64,000 rupees, right? That's inflation. And this inflation would just help you understand, okay, that if you keep the money at home, 20,000 will remain 20,000. At savings bank, 20,000 will become about 43, 44,000, but it will still not be able to beat inflation, right? So it is important for you to move your money out of the savings bank account. And finally, if you invest and if you're able to get about a 10% return, you are able to make you're able to change that 20,000 to about 1,34,000, which not only beats the inflation, but also gives you the extra money to take care of all your financial needs, right? And that's the simple answer to the question why all of us need to invest money, right? Hence, it is important to invest. Now, how do we make the most of these investments? As soon as I talk with somebody about, you've got to invest your money, the first question is, okay, then how much money can I make, right? How much should I put in, and when can I 10x my money? When can I 100x my money, right? Some of these common questions that come, how do I double my money? How do I triple my money? And how quickly can I get that done? Then we start falling into this trap of, various Telegram groups that market that, okay, just come to us, give us your money, and within 2 weeks, within 5 weeks, you'll get a 10x reward and this and that. Does it really work? Do you guys think it really works? So let's understand the science behind, or the mathematics behind, what it takes for the money to grow, right? And please be with me for some time. I know this could be basic for a lot of you, but it's important for me to cover these things. I'll be done with the initial theory in about 10 minutes, and then we'll move on to the practical application of how can you go about budgeting yourself, right? So this is also important. Just stay with me for about 10 minutes. So how do we make the most of our savings and investments? Well, to understand that, it's a very simple, and I'm sure all of you have now heard of it because it's widely talked about on social media, called compounding. It's called the eighth wonder of the world because that's the mathematics that makes your money grow from 1x to 2x to 5x to 10x, so on and so forth. And to do that, compounding needs something. And that generally is what most of us lose, right? Which is patience. So, in order for money to grow, it cannot happen. And I would bluntly say it cannot happen in 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, 15 days. it has to happen over a period of time. Compounding multiplied with patience helps you create a long term wealth, right? How does that work? Once again, we've created a simple calculator for all of you to understand and to visualize how could compounding work for you, right? So let's say if you're 18 and you start with just 1,000 rupees a month, with just 1,000 rupees a month, by the time you're 30, your principal amount is total about 1,56,000. Your corpus is of that about 3,23,000 rupees. By the time you're 40, right, 276 is your principal, but your corpus has become about 10,40,000. And mind me, just 1,000 rupees a month, 1,000 rupees a month, 12,000 rupees a year, right? By the time you're 50, your 4 lakhs has become 30 lakhs. And by the time you're 60, which is the retirement age for most of us, our 5 lakhs is close to about 80 lakhs. And this is just 1,000 rupees a month, just 1,000 rupees a month, right? Let me just throw in some numbers randomly, and happy to, would love all of you to also use these calculators so you could play with these numbers and visualize for yourself as to how much could you create in corpus, right? So let's say by 23 is when we all start working, and we happy to start with about 2,000, 3,000 rupees a month, right? About 26, 27, then maybe we're earning a little more, so we can make it about 4,000 rupees a month for the next few years, 4,000. Then the next year, about 1 lakh a year, so that's close to about 8,000 rupees a month, pretty doable again, and I'll mark that. And then maybe about 2 lakh rupees a year, close to about 10, close to about what, 15,000 a month, right? 20,000 a month, 18,000 a month. And then let's say by the time you're in your 40s, I'm hoping you're earning really, really well, about 4 lakhs a year, right? And I will just stretch this till the age of 60, right? Now, just look at it for yourselves. Just look at it for yourselves. Something that you started with 1,000, you gradually increased it a little bit. By the time you are 60, the corpus has become 5 crores and 40 lakhs. 5 crores and 40 lakhs. It's growing slowly in the initial years. You see, this is how the graph looks. It grows really slowly in the initial years, but once it gets going, it goes exponentially high, right? And that's how compounding works. And again, I would love for you all to throw in your numbers. The point of this exercise is not to, I know you're very overwhelmed already with a lot of compounding things coming into picture, but the idea here is to help you visualize and understand how compounding impacts us. How can we start with investing 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 rupees a month and help and have compounding work for us, right? So that is why you should be using that calculator in order to understand that, right? Don't worry, I will take all the questions at the end. So save, invest, compound with a little bit of patience, and that's what we feel is really, really important for us to do, right? Here's another quick theoretical concept that I wanted to cover, and then, as I said, we will jump straight into the practical implications of how do we create a budget for yourselves, right? So assets and liabilities, anything that we own is an asset. Anything that we own is an asset. Anything that we owe is a liability. So anything that I own, the laptop that I have, that I'm doing this workshop on, the phone that I have, the place that I'm living in, all of these are some things that I own, and therefore it becomes an asset. However, anything I owe becomes a liability, right? So the loans that I have to pay, the EMIs that I have to pay, the credit card bills that I have to pay, all of these are liabilities, right? And there are two types of assets. One is an appreciating asset and one is a depreciating asset. And as the name suggests, anything that grows up in value over a period of time is an appreciating asset, right? Gold, mutual funds, stocks, real estate, right? These are the things that would grow over a period of time, the value of which would grow over a period of time, and therefore that becomes an appreciating asset. On the other hand, anything that loses its value over a period of time becomes a depreciating asset, right? Uh, Car, mobile phone, uh, clothes, right? So if we buy a mobile phone of, let's say, about 50,000 rupees today, 2 years from now, when we go and sell it, we would get what, 20, 25,000 at max, right? And that's why mobile phones or all of those things are depreciating assets. At the same time, liabilities are also of two types: a good liability and a bad liability. So, a bad liability, and listen to this one carefully because this will help us with the next section of the session. A bad liability is something which we take. So, any liability that we take in order to buy a depreciating asset is a bad liability. I'll say this again: any liability that we take in order to buy a depreciating asset is a bad liability. Any liability that we take in order to buy an appreciating asset is a good liability. Most common example, let's say we bought a car on a car loan. Right now, a car, let's say I bought a 10 lakh rupee car, I took it on a car loan. By the time I ended up paying the EMIs, the total amount that I paid for the car loan became close to about, let's say, 13 lakhs, 14 lakhs. And 5 years later, when I went to sell off that car, it gave me just about 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, right? So I ended up paying about 15 lakh rupees over a period of 5 years. That became 5 lakhs in value. You see that? And therefore, that becomes a bad liability. That is called a bad liability. On the other hand, a good liability, most common example, home loan. We usually take homes on a home loan, right? And over a period of time, the assumption is that even after paying the interest to the bank, the real estate price will appreciate in such a, it should appreciate so much that it should help us counter the EMI that we've paid for, right? So if we've taken a 1 crore loan and let's say we end up paying 2 crores over a period of 15-20 years, then after 20 years the value of that property should be at least more than 2 crores, so that it has covered for all the interest portion that we've paid, right? And that's the underlying assumption, that's the basic understanding, right? Now, in no manner am I saying that, go ahead, start taking loans and start investing them. No, that's not what I mean. Neither am I saying that, you shouldn't buy a car on a car loan. But it's just something that we should keep at the back of our mind: what is a good liability and what is a bad liability. And at the same time, we should start trying to get into a practice where we can have as less bad liabilities as possible and as more good liabilities as possible, right? That's the intent. That's it. That is what we were wanting to understand through this concept of good liability, bad liability, right? And I'll quickly run you through this another concept of cash flow by this very famous writer of this very famous book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, Mr. Robert Kiyosaki. And this was this beautifully explained concept that I really wanted to cover with you guys, which is how do the different sections of the society think about money, right? And what Mr. Robert Kiyosaki, after speaking to thousands of people, he discovered was how the financially weaker use their income. So they have an income, they have a job from which they get their salary. That salary usually is utilized to pay all of their expenses: taxes, rent, food, groceries, so on and so forth. Most of the time, their assets as well as liabilities are empty, right? I mean, they could have some liabilities, but assets are usually empty. How do the middle class use their income? Again, they have a salary and they end up paying most of their salary for EMIs first, right? You've seen that common joke that salary gets credited and EMI starts getting going out of the account, and by the time it's the third and the fourth of the month, we're left with nothing at all, right? Relatable. So salary, income, we pay off the liabilities first, and then whatever money is left, it goes on into paying the expenses. And again, the assets column of the balance sheet is usually empty. And finally, how the rich use their income: they again also have a job. Through that job, they have a salary. And through that salary, what they do is they do not, and listen to the words that I'm going to use here. They have a job and they get a salary from that job. However, they are not using this salary as an income. But what they are doing is they are using this salary to buy assets, to build assets, real estate, stocks, whatsoever, and use, and whatever money is then generated from those assets is what they treat as their actual income. And then they would use this actual income to first take care of their expenses. And once the expenses are taken care of, they would go ahead and buy some liabilities if it required, right? Liabilities comes the last in the financially wealthier section, or the thought process which the financially wealthier section of the society has, right? So they have the job, salary, they first buy assets, then whatever income is generated from the assets is what they treated as the actual income, and using that they would pay off their expenses and liabilities, right? On a very, very summarized way, the poor, the financially middle class, and the financially rich, that's the fundamental difference between how they think about money. Yes. Now, let's give you a quick way to understand what is your net worth today. All of us do talk about assets and liabilities, and I'm sure by now you have understood what an asset and a liability is. And I'm sure you all have also heard about words called balance sheet for those of you who are from a commerce background, right? Now, what this sheet will help you do is this will help you identify what is your current standing, right? Here are on the left side all the assets that you own. Here are on the right side all the liabilities that you have. And all you've got to do is come to the sheet and put in all the numbers that you have with you. And finally, this tracker will help you identify what your net worth is as of today, right? It's a brilliant exercise because it helps you look at all the things you own and how many of these are really appreciating in nature. And at the same time, it helps you identify all the liabilities that you have. And so the entire intention is to reduce as many liabilities as we can and increase as many assets as we can, right? And this is the place how you get started. So I'll quickly explain how do you want to, how will you be working on this. Here are all the assets that you'll put in, right? The current value of your home, the current value of your vehicle, your mutual funds, equities, fixed income, so on and so forth, right? What are the kind of assets they are, whether it's an appreciating or a depreciating asset. And by now I'm sure you are able to identify what each one is. The amount that that asset has, the current value of that asset as of the day. So that gives you an overall sum of all the assets you own. And on the right hand side, you have all the liabilities that you owe, right? So although you have a home, but then although you have a home, but then that is also on a home loan that you've taken, right? So the outstanding home loan for that home is about 60 lakh rupees. So you've got to put that in. The vehicle loan that you have, the personal loan that you have, the outstanding amount of credit card, the loans for that you've taken from friends and relatives, all of those things also is what you've got to pay them back, right? And therefore, this will help you calculate all of your liabilities. And so finally, your assets minus your liabilities will give you your net worth. Correct? Yes? That's this simple exercise for you to understand, because before you start planning for your future, before you start planning your year ahead, you've got to understand where you stand today, right? And that's why this exercise is super duper helpful. Quick check, are you guys with me so far? Yes, no? Are you guys having fun? Is this good? Is it slow? Is it fast? Can I have a quick feedback? Can I have a quick round of thumbs ups on the chat if everything is going well? So let me tell you this, guys. This Mr. Shiva, he told me, no, you come 1 hour early, and he made me sit and prepare for the session right from 2:30, and because of that, I was not able to have my lunch. So now the only way I can have my lunch is with your thumbs ups. Okay, that's food for me right now. So please give me as many thumbs ups as you can so that I get the energy and I keep going the same way that I am going. Okay.
And your lunch after the session is on me, Akshat.
Done. So Nagarjuna, yes, I'll summarize, Nagarjuna. Just let me complete the things that I've planned, and I'm happy to summarize the session with you then. So what we covered so far was savings. Why is it important to save? Why is it important to invest, which is majorly inflation? How do you go about investments? And how does compounding work for your investments over a period of time? How does compounding grow your money? We also covered emergency fund, and how do you go about creating that, and then how do you also park your emergency fund, which is the 20-40-40 rule. And we then just covered the assets, liabilities, appreciating, depreciating, good and bad, and finally the way the financially weaker versus middle class versus the financially wealthier section takes care of their money, which finally brought us to using the balance sheet, right? Yes, good. Okay. So now that we've reached so far, Let's quickly see how much you've learned, right? So let's play a quick quiz. Quiz time, all of you on your chats. Fastest finger first. Okay. First question, what is not true about inflation? And read it carefully. What is not true? Okay, the question is not true. A, it reduces the purchasing power. B is the general rise in price of goods and services. C, it reduces the real return on your investments. And D, one can avoid inflation by investing in high yield products. Okay, A, B, C, D. Lots of mixed responses. C and D, C and D. Somebody says A. What is not true, guys? What is not true? Carefully, what is not true? Okay, I'll move on to the answer. Yes, now a lot of you have started getting right. Still, some of you are confused. Okay, the right answer is D. So, what is not true? Well, one can avoid inflation by investing in high yield products is not true. I'll explain this quickly. It reduces the purchasing power. Yes, it will, right? Inflation. So today I have 10,000 rupees. If I do nothing about it, right? So let's say this glass, as we spoke, was about 20,000 rupees now, and after inflation, 20 years from now, this will be 60,000. Now, if I do, if today I have 20,000, I just put it in the top shelf of my Almira, thinking that I will not invest this or keep this in any of the financial instruments, then even 20 years later, that 20,000 will remain 20,000. And will I be able to purchase this glass? No, I will not be able to, right? So it reduces the purchasing power. It is the general rise in the price of goods and services, right? So that's the formal definition of inflation. It reduces the real return on your investments. How does that happen? So let's say you've made about 10% return on your investments for a year, and the inflation that year was about 6%. So the value of money grew by 6%. So how much is your actual return? It's about 4%, right? Because the value has grown by 6 and you made 10%. So 10 minus 6, 4%. So it reduces the real return on your investments. And finally, when can avoid inflation by investing in high yield products? Well, nobody can avoid inflation. None of us can ever do that. What we could do is we could beat the inflation further by investing in high yield products. So let's say if we got about 12%, 15%, then we will be able to make a better a real return, right? That's what it means. Cool, good. Congratulations to all of you who got that right. Moving on, next question. This is a relatively simpler one. A monthly budget can help you achieve financial security by A, helping you choose stocks that are most likely to increase in price. B, reducing the likelihood that you will face unexpected expenditures for maintenance and repairs. C, increasing your financial awareness and helping you allocate funds more effectively. Or D, expanding the borrowing limits on your existing credit cards and increasing the number of credit cards you hold. C. Mostly C. Awesome. Yes, Yogesh, I got your answer. C. Okay, perfect. Yes, you're all right. You're all right. Increase your financial awareness by helping you allocate your funds more effectively. And that's what we're doing today, helping you increase your financial awareness, right? Perfect. Okay. Now that I promised you, once I cover the theory, I will give you some practical inputs and tricks and tips, right? And this is the time that we do that now. But before we do that, I wanted to highlight some of the common mistakes we often do as soon as we want to start working on our money, right? The number one mistake that I've seen people do is not assigning funds for entertainment or any unexpected expenses, right? Making unrealistically strict budgets. It's like, no, this month I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to eat outside. I'm not going to go out for a movie, or I'm not going to spend anything on entertainment. I will save each and every penny, right? And what happens is by the 15th, 20th, we are so stressed out with our lives that we're like, oh shit, no, I really need to go out. And then we would end up spending even more than what we would have eventually planned, right? So making unrealistic strict budgets, biggest mistake. Spending first and investing whatever is left. Okay, let me take care of my expenses first. There are just way too many expenses I have, and I will surely promise I will invest whatever is left at the end. What happens? Most of the months we have nothing left at the end, right? And we are like, oh shit, man, this month we had too many expenses. Pakka next month, pakka I will take care of my expenses. right, of my savings. That's the number two mistake. So therefore you've got to save first and spend whatever is left. And number three, we often chase returns. No, market is at all time high, currently market is falling, this is not a right time to invest, this is not a good time to invest, so on and so forth. And we would keep coming up with some or the other excuses for ourselves, right? So in order to avoid all of these common mistakes, and in order, oh sorry, I think I mistakenly clicked on mute. So in order to avoid all of these common mistakes, and in order to go ahead and learn some of the key strategies that we share, let's move forward, right? Yeah, my reaction when someone says, where did all of your money go, and we're like, we have no clue at all where did all of our money go, right? That happens. Yes, has it happened with any one of you? Quickly tell me in the chat. Yes. Okay. Chalo. So coming to those strategies that we were talking about, how many of you heard of this common rule that is talked about on social media? Yes or no? 50-30-20 rule. 50%, 30%, 50% for your needs, 30% for your wants, 20% for your savings. How many of you know about this rule, and how many of you are following this? Write F or following in the chat if you are following this. F. Okay, a few of you following, actually. Great. Kind of F. I like Deepika's honest answer, kind of F. And why I like that answer is because, tell me honestly, for all of those who are following it, are you really able to follow this? Are you really able to follow this? Is it practically possible? It for me it is not practically possible, and I'll tell you why, right? For most of the times, I'm not even able to differentiate between a need and a want, right? I mean, there are social media gurus that keep talking about 50-30-20 needs, wants, savings, but I am not even able to distinguish between my need and a want, right? Sometimes I feel buying an iPhone is a need. I want to shoot videos for Pennywise, and I want to upload them on social media, so on and so forth. But then sometimes I feel it's also a want, right? Because nowadays, with so many AI tools into the picture, a normal phone could also shoot a camera, shoot a video, and then I could edit it using a good tool, and bang on, I'll get the same quality. So that's a big question to me. And at the same time, I don't even want myself to be in that constant position every time, right? Now just think of it yourself. You're sitting in the mall and you're liking that shirt, and you're like, hey, should I buy that? Is that a need? Is that a want? Do I really need it? Do I want it? No, right? You don't want to be doing that all the time. And therefore I feel this is something that doesn't work. At least it doesn't work for me or for the people that I have been interacting with, right? And so what we did was, after brainstorming with a number of people, we modified this rule into something that could actually work, right? And that is nothing but the 30-20-50 rule. And listen to me carefully before you start questioning this rule, okay? The 30-20-50 rule states that 30% of your money, the 30% of your money will go straight into your long-term investments. Something that you will not touch for 15-20 years, something that will help you get the compounding benefit, something that, how the financially richer section of the society think about money. They will use that money to buy assets and then wait for those assets to generate income. That is this 30%. So you will use this 30% in order to buy long-term assets, invest in long-term assets. The remaining 20% is what you will use in order to create an emergency corpus for yourself. Remember, we spoke about in the beginning. So let's say you're earning 50,000 and you need a 6-month worth of emergency corpus. So you will use this 10,000 a month and slowly start preparing for that emergency corpus. And the remaining 50% is what you will spend on for all your luxuries, for all your necessities, for your needs, for whatsoever you want. Basically, there is no bifurcation between your need and a want. You can spend on anything and everything that you want to, right? And you live like a king or a queen, right? But that has to happen from this 50% bucket. Does this make sense? Now, I know a lot of you might still be having this question, Akshat. No, 50% we cannot take care of your expense of our expenses. We have too many responsibilities. We have too many liabilities. Understood. Understood. The point that I'm trying to make here is, do not go by the numbers 30, 20, 50. Maybe start with a 10, 10, 80 rule, or maybe start with a 5, 5, 90 rule. But it is important for you to start identifying these numbers and create these three separate buckets. Start with the 5, 5, 90 rule. Try for a couple of months. If it works well, great. Move to a 10, 5, 85 rule. Move to a 10, 10, 80 rule. Move to a 20, 10, 70 rule. You get the point? But the point is to have these separate buckets right from day one of your salaries. You have to put in some money for your long-term assets. You have to put in some money for your emergency needs. And obviously, with the remaining money, you've got to take care of your expenses. Yes, does it make sense? Are you guys with me? Can I have a quick round of thumbs ups once again, if you guys are with me? Yes? Okay. So will you follow this now? Will you follow this now? Say yes, follow. So ideally, we would want your car loan, or so any bad liability, we would want that to be in your expenses bucket, right? Your home loan is a good liability and you're using that to buy an asset, that could go into your 30% bucket, right? Okay. I really like the honest answer from Nirnimesh. Not sure, right? And for honestly, for all of you who are saying yes, 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 I know you'll forget it. It's Friday today. You'll, after this session, you'll be done. You'll be out for your friends, with your friends, partying, and Saturday, Sunday, and bang on. Monday, you'll be like, Akshat told us something. I forgot it. And so, just so that you don't forget, what if I tell you there is a way to automate it? I know a lot of you come from IT backgrounds and it's AI all over. I'm not even talking about AI. I'm talking about a simple net banking feature. What if you automate this? And to do that, let me introduce you to something called as the three bank account strategy. The three bank account strategy. And listen to me carefully. The three bank account strategy says that you need to have three accounts in three different banks. One would obviously be your salary account, whichever bank you have. Let's, for example, say HDFC. Open another bank account in, let's say, SBI, and then open a third bank account in, let's say, ICICI. No affiliations, just randomly using these names for easy identification, right? So what I have done is I've opened three accounts in three different banks. One is obviously, and I have named them as Earn It, Invest It, and Spend It. Just in my mind, I've labeled, okay, the SDFC is going to be my Earn It, the SBI is going to be my Invest It, and the ICICI is going to be my Spend It, right? So whatever money I earn, the salary account will be my SDFC account, and I'll label it as Earn It. Now I'll have to do a simple thing. I want to I know when my salary comes, usually let's say the 30th, 31st, or the 1st of every month. On the 2nd of every month, I will set up a simple net banking feature. 50% of my money, let's say the 30, 20, 50 rule, 50% of my money, of my salary, should move from my Earn It account to my Spend It account. 20% of my 30% of my money should move from my Earn It account to my Invest It account. And the remaining 20% can stay in my Earn It account. What am I doing? By using the automation of net banking. It's not even an automation, it's simply a net banking feature, right? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create this automatic flow of money, which means that from my Earn It, from my salary account, automatically another account, which is my Spend It account, will be filled in every month. My investment account will also be filled in every month, and my emergency account will also be filled in every month automatically. Now, whatever expenses I'm going to do, all my credit cards, debit cards are going to be linked to the Spend It account. In fact, I would say throw away the credit cards and debit cards linked to your Earn It and Invest It. Basically, what you've got to think of it is whatever money you have in your Spend It, that is the only net worth that you have. That is the only money that you can spend. You cannot spend a single penny more, right? So Spend It account is the account which you will actually consider to be something as your net worth in a way, right? Or your spending power. Spending power is a better word for this. Your spending power in a way is what lies in your spended account, right? All your EMI, all your SIPs, your stock investments, your FDs, that could go through your invested account, and in earn it account, we will build your emergency fund, right? Trust me, I've been doing this for many, many years now, and it's been working phenomenally, amazingly well. I too started with the 10-10-80 rule. I have finally reached about a 40-10-50 rule, right? I'm able to invest about 40% of my income. And that has not happened overnight, but it has happened over many, many years of discipline, many, many years of following these strategies, and finally being able to make it, right? How do you think about it now? The 30-20-50 rule clubbed with the 3 bank account strategy. Does this make sense now? Does this make sense now? Can I quickly have a round of yeses or thumbs ups? Does this work? Does this work? Great, Deepika. I'm so happy to hear that. I think just go ahead with the step of automation, and you just don't have to worry about it. Every month you will see a lot of money flowing in, and then whatever money is left over, you could use that for other things. Awesome. Awesome. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Now that you've been great audience, let me introduce you to something called as the Smart Budgeting Tracker. And we've created this very, very recently. And in fact, you are one of the first audiences whom we are sharing this with. And see this very carefully, because this is quite comprehensive. But trust me, if you use it, it is going to be super, super, super simple, right? I was talking to my partner the other day, and we just came up with a line that it is very tough to get this task done. It is very tough to get this task done, but once you do it, it becomes very easy. Okay, it's very tough for you to get this task done, for you to sit and for you to input all of these numbers. But once you do it, trust me, you will feel a lot better, and you will really see the difference in the way you manage your money. Okay, so how do we go about budgeting it? Number one, the top column here is where you will put in your primary income, your secondary income, your spouse, your partner, or whomsoever, if there is anyone in your family who's also adding to the family contributions. Then any additional income that is coming in, either through dividends, either through rent or whatsoever, right? So this basically gives you your total monthly in-hand income. And this is I'm telling, put this number after your taxes have been done, right? So your in-hand income is what you should put in here, right? We don't have to worry about taxes, right? Taxes is something which has to go, right? We will think about optimizing and all of those things later, but let's just first focus on the money that is in hand that we're going to get every month, right? So you put in your enhanced salaries, and this gives you your with the numbers that we've put in, this gives you your total monthly in hand or your total yearly in hand salary, right? Now what we've done is we've simply put the 3 bank account, the 3 bank account strategy, right, with the 30-20-50 rule. So for now, we've actually managed this that way: 30% for your investment, 20% for your emergency, and 50% for your expense, right? So you put in 20, 30, 50, right? Now, once you've done with the selections of the percentages, all of these will automatically come up, right? All of these will automatically come up. Once you've done that, you come down here, you just change this number, right? So with this, basically you have your understanding of over a year, how much money will you be able to create with, how much you will be able to, let me say this again. With this table, you will be able to identify how much money per month should be going into your emergency fund, how much money per month should be going into your investment, and what is the final expense fund that is left with you, right? You can definitely play around with the 30-20-50 numbers as and when required, right? Let me just color these all blue. So all the blue numbers, they will auto-populate, right? You should not be touching any of the blue cells. They all have formulas and they will get auto-populated. All the ones which are white, those are the numbers that you should be inputting. Okay, those are the numbers you should be inputting. Now, once again, coming to your total emergency or the target emergency fund. So based on whether you want 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months of emergency fund, you come in and you put in 6, 9, 12, and accordingly this will change the target. And so you know that, per year, if I am, or per month, if I'm able to shell out this much, then it might take me about 2.5, 3 years to reach my emergency fund, which is absolutely fine, right? And once you've actually reached your emergency fund, you could also think of what you want to do with this 20% bucket. You could either invest it or you could spend it, right? Whatever suits better. Clear with me so far? So your total target emergency fund is what will get calculated here. And now we come to the main part, the expense tracking, the expense budget. So this is about 50% based on the calculations that we've taken, right? So 11 lakh 10,000 rupees is what this is coming out to be. And now what we've got to do is, sorry, give me a second. Yeah. So and now what we've got to do is, with this expense budget, we will try to break this estimated into the estimated expenses, right? How are we doing that? Let's come down here, right? Let's come down here, and I'm going to reduce the size a bit so that the table comes in into one screen, right? I hope you're all able to see it clearly. So the total expense budget of the year I have is about 11 lakh 10,000. Now I know, so now you see this percentage. What I'm doing is I'm going to estimate how much I will spend out of this expense into each of these categories. So say again, 25% is what I want my rent to look like. About 5% is my house helps, 10% about groceries, 5% of utility bills, and you can play around with these percentages. The blue cells will calculate automatically, right? So blue cells anywhere, don't change the values. All you've got to do is play with the white cells, right? Put in the percentages and say, let's say, for example, this total sums up to be about 98%. So 98% of your expense bucket is what you are going to spend, is what you've estimated that you will be spending over the next many months. And then it further gives you the amount left, right? So even after spending out your expense fund, about this is the amount that is left for any additional activities that you want to do, right? And you see this, just take a step back and see what you've done. You've actually invested first, you've taken care of your emergency fund, you've taken care of your investment fund, and now with whatever expense fund is left over, you've started working on your overall budget, right? Just like our FM minister, our finance minister announced the budget, you've got to create this budget and announce it with your family. That, guys, this year 25% is our budget for the rent. We've got to manage it that way. 5% is going to be our house helps, 10% going to be groceries, so on and so forth. And once you share these numbers with everyone will have a number in mind, and they'll be careful about their spending, right? And so once you're done with all your estimates, over a month on month, you should start adding all of those values here, right? So in this case, all you've got to do is come back here and put in your numbers. January May, this much was the rent. Feb May, this much. Groceries was this much. Zomato Swiggy bill was this much. Shopping was this much, so on and so forth. Come back on Jan, Feb, March, April, and add it every month on month. And finally, you will have a cumulative view that finally I had estimated it to be this much. And see, I am at this much, right? Such a powerful way. Such a powerful way. See, once again, I'm telling you, it's going to be very, very tough. Feel free to use the apps or the expense trackers, and just come down here once every month and put down these numbers. But please do it. Trust me, once you start doing this, it is going to be super, super, super helpful. Right? Yes. Quick round of thumbs ups. Does this help? Does this help? Yes. I mean, absolutely feel free to add more, list of items. School, for example, if you want, you could put it in your miscellaneous, or else, you could just right click and insert one row, and then you could just add it, right? So the formulas will get copied, or whatever is not suiting you, you could, kind of replace that with the school bills, right? So that's the point. Cool. Sandeep, these numbers will come to the picture of even if your salary is 25,000. As I said, man, who's told you to start with 30, 20, 50 rule? Start with the 1,198 rule. Please understand. The point is, we can all start with whatever limited things we have. It's a gradual process. It's a process that will take time, right? That's how you go about it. Whatever jobs we are in today, I'm sure you didn't know the skill that you are doing on the first day itself, right? It must have taken you time to excel that skill. It's the same way here as well, right? Okay, cool, right? So yes, I know a lot of you might be asking, where do we get these trackers from? But before we do that, quick action items. So please play with the compounding calculator to visualize how much wealth you want to create. Set up the 3 bank account strategy with the 30-20-50 rule. Fill up your balance sheet and calculate your net worth. And finally, start filling up your expense tracker. First, fill the estimates for the entire year, and then your January 2025 numbers. And then, once Feb ends, you could add in your February 2025 as well, right? To access the workshop resources, Shiva, you want to share?
Yeah. So Akshat, you want me to share the link here, or should we send them separately?
As you say,
You can
whatever you
share
say.
it here. I
Sure.
think there are too many questions around where can we find the tracker. So
Okay.
if I make them wait, I don't know, uh, a lot of slack will come my way. So let's share it here right away.
Sure. Absolutely. So yep, those are the. I mean, Shiva is going to share the link of the LMS where we have a lot of things for you. We will also have some of the recorded modules of some of the videos of these concepts. So feel free to go through those videos along with these trackers. And yeah, please do give us your feedback once you use them. Here is a link to a Pennywise's community that we have. It's a WhatsApp lifetime free WhatsApp community, and as part of Ethica and Pennywise's partnership with your corporates, Ethica wanted us to share this community with all of you as well. So you could just simply scan the QR and you would be able to enter a community, and it has all of these groups, right? One with investment products, with credit cards, taxes, about insurances. So you can just simply join all of these groups. It's basically an open house communication, so you can discuss anything and everything personal finance whatsoever that you want to. And we have it's basically community for like-minded people, right? So you have a question, somebody else has an answer, somebody else has a question, you have an answer, and obviously it's moderated by myself as well as our team, and we keep sharing lots of tips and inputs and new learnings that we have, right? So yeah, that's the Pennywise's community. Feel free to join in for whatever questions that you ever have.
Akshat, I have a couple of things to share.
Sure.
So, thank you everyone for your wonderful participation so far. I have a very, very important announcement to make. So, we've partnered with Akshat. So, we all know how people are very interested in their personal finances. So, we've partnered with Akshat and we've created a LMS module around personal finance. So, if you know, a lot of people might know you can. So, there's a portal where you access a lot of your wellness benefits. I'll just share my screen for you to let you know where you can find this course. Just give me 1 second. I'll just go. I'll just open it. So for those who don't know, you can just go to ethica.in, enter your email ID, your official email ID. Just a second. Okay. And once you log in, you should be able to see a lot of modules here. And you will also see something called as employee learning at the end of the landing page. So once you click on employee learning and if you click on courses, there is a fundamentals of personal finance course. So whatever Akshat has explained is already shot into a video and it's given to you as a module. You can open this. There are certain modules that you can do. All the trackers are also, I will share the trackers with you separately over an email to all of the participants who've joined the session today. But you can also find the trackers here. There are separate, modules that you can do on the LMS, right? So you can absolutely go onto your Ethica portals and complete this LMS course. It's completely complimentary, free of cost. There's no cost attached to it for anybody in any organization, right? Secondly, before we move on to the question and answer section, I would like to request everyone to uh, you know, give me some spare about 1-2 minutes to to give Akshat a feedback or give us a feedback of this session so that we can understand how did the session go. We can understand if we can bring in any new elements. So we are also planning for a subsequent session on tax saving because we have the new budget in place. A lot of questions around what happens this year, what happens next year, how do I save a lot of money and all of that. We are planning another session with Akshat next month, but we wanted to first start with personal finances. So we are done with all the trackers. We know how much are we putting into an emergency fund, how much are we investing, and now in the consequent session we understand what do we do with this investment, with these gains from different investments and all of that into a tax saving session, right? So your feedback matters a lot. And once you quickly give us your feedback, we move into a Q&A, very, very anticipated Q&A. I'm expecting a lot of questions coming Akshat's way. So Akshat, you can have some water and be prepared while we are doing the feedback. For those who want to ask questions directly, we can also bring you to panel. You can, uh, switch on your video and ask your question. For those who don't want to come on camera, you can use the chat box or the Q&A section to put out your questions. And we'll try and answer as many questions as possible. But in the interest of time, if you're not able to answer any questions, you can write to me on an email that I'm mentioning in the chat now, and I will send them to Akshat. I will make sure that he spends all his weekend answering my questions, and I'll then reply back to you. So this is my email ID. You can absolutely, yes, I will send the Excel tracker, and I'm not sure if we can share PPT, that is Pennywise property, but I will send the trackers with you in an email once the session is completed. Right, this is my email ID. You can write any questions that are unanswered, and I'll get them answered by Akshat.
In fact, Shiva, what I would like to do is, since the audience has been super, super energetic,
Yeah.
I don't know if there is a way for you to track the participation of people who were LMS. But folks, if you complete all the action items that we had shared today, and if you finish all the videos on the LMS, we are happy to share a financial planning calculator absolutely free of cost from our side, right? We really want all of you to work on your personal finances, and that would really help you create an impact. So once you're done, Shiva, if there's an email they could send, we've completed all of our learning modules, and we are more than happy to share an even a bigger or a more comprehensive tracker than the one that you just saw that would help the people with their financial planning.
Thank you so much, Akshat. Thank you so much. So we'll take a last minute for you to give us feedback. Last minute, 4:42. We'll start the Q&A quickly after this. Last minute, please. I request everyone on the call, on the webinar, to spare a couple of minutes, give us your valuable feedback, and then we'll definitely come back. Akshat, can you also share the QR code in the meantime to join the community? A lot of people are asking in the chat. For everyone who's submitted their feedback, thank you so much. And just a quick announcement also. So for the next week, we are coming up with another session on the art of persuasion. So we are bringing a foreign speaker from Spain to come and speak about the art of persuasion. It's going to be an amazing session. I am posting the registration link in the chat. I request every one of you to take a quick minute to register for these sessions. And with that, I will end the poll. Thank you so much, everyone, for giving us your valuable feedback. I've ended the poll, and then we can absolutely move on to the Q&A section, right? So, yeah, we'll start taking questions. Akshat, are you ready? Okay,
Sure,
so everyone who have any questions, can you please raise your hand in the chat box, and I will pick you up
yeah,
from there.
and just one quick
Yeah, yeah.
thing, Shiva. So I would also put up a LinkedIn post, and I've shared the link over the chat. Would love it if some of you could share your comments as to what did you like and what did you dislike. Dislike, maybe you can DM me, but likes is what you could put in on the chat, on the comments. And yeah, would mean a lot. Feel free to connect as well, in case you have any queries.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah, we'll quickly move on to Q&A. So the first question I want to take, Akshat, is Gaurav is asking if Pennywise offers service around personal portfolio managing.
No, no, Gaurav, we don't. We actually are personal finance educators, and we help with that. In case you need any leads, there are few that are associated with us. You could be a part of the community and ask there. But again, there are no direct affiliations or anything that we get paid out of that. We could just share some names that we know of.
And personally, that's the thing that we like with Akshat. That's the beauty of Pennywise. So they don't do any personal portfolio management. They don't suggest anything. They are only into wellness education, and that sets them apart from any other influencer or any other financial educator for that matter. So yeah, that's Akshat for you. So Naman is asking. What about one-off spend, quarterly or half yearly? Which account we should keep this? How to make a control? And if we can include gold as asset in balance sheet.
Shiva, are these questions in the Q&A or in the
No,
chat?
in the chat box.
Okay, okay, okay.
I'll quickly take
I,
between chat
I
and Q&A.
I didn't get that. What is the one-off spend? Oh, what about the one-off spend?
One-off
Okay.
spend, yeah.
Naman, so okay, so good question. Uh, Try to identify that as your fixed expense or an additional expense. If it is additional expense, at the bottom of the sheet there was something called as additional expenses, right?
Akshat,
Amount left for
your
variable
voice is
expense.
breaking for some reason. The internet seems to be flaky.
Oh,
Yeah.
just a second. Can you hear me now?
Now,
Is it
yes, we
better?
can. Yeah.
Okay. And you can see my screen, the Excel
Yes,
sheet?
yes. The Excel sheet is visible.
Okay, okay. So what I was saying is this row down below should be able to help you cover for that one-off expenses, right? So let's say once you put in your Jan, Feb month and March month, you would get some amount as to amount left for variable expenses. So maybe this is the money that you can use for that one-off expenses, right? Gifts, leisure travel, other luxuries, so on and so forth. Apart from that, if that is something for your urgent needs, you could always use your emergency fund as well, right? Emergency fund is something that you need for one-off expenses, for immediate needs. Let's say you have a house renovation coming up that needs to be planned. That is something where you could take out some money from emergency fund, right? Because the way I want you to think about this emergency fund is it is your emergency come your immediate fund, right? So since you are parking 20% of your salaries into towards this additional bucket, this is the place where you could use this. So try to first exhaust the expense account that you have, which would be left over after the months. If you've exhausted that, you could go on to your emergency fund.
Okay, so we'll take one question from. Okay, I'm promoting Anup Raj Verma to the panel. Anup, if you are available, you can unmute yourself. You can ask your question. Anup Raj, you are in the panel now. You can unmute yourself and ask your question if you have a question. You've raised your hand. Okay, I don't think Anup
In the meanwhile, I'll
is.
just take this quick question. Is it a good
Yes,
idea to
yes.
keep 50% of your emergency fund in short-term mutual funds? So Akash, you can. So the ideal, I mean, the suggested recommendation is 20, 40, 40, 20 as cash or in your savings fund. Sorry, cash or in your savings bank account, 40% in fixed deposits, and another 40% in your liquid MFs, right? If that works, great. Otherwise, 40, 50% is almost on the same ideas, right? So it works.
Yeah. So we have another question from Gaurav saying, how safe is it to invest in foreign stocks through platforms like IND Money?
So again, honestly, I personally haven't used the platform IND Money, but I've heard decent feedback about it. Right, I've not seen any other feedback. In fact, I did try doing something with it, but for some reason now I remember, I did not, my account did not go through. I will try doing it again, but I've not heard any major complaints as such. Right? It's always good to kind of see the feedback on on the internet, but it seems decent. Gaurav, another, just not trying to ask you to join, but in case you do join the Pennywise community, these are the kind of questions that you could ask there, and you would get feedback from people who are actually using it, right? So the reason why we've made the groups is for questions like these. Anyone who's using IndMoney would be a better person to share their feedback with you. So yeah, feel free to join in.
So we have Madhurav from the participants. Madhurav, you can unmute yourself. You can ask your question here.
Hey, Akshat, first of all, thank you so much for being a 20 years back, similar kind of session happened. One of my friend who got inspired is now making more than 30 lakhs a month with just interest.
Oh, wow. Can you
see
introduce,
it transforms life, transforms lives if invested properly. People make fortune, and I am seeing it in real life. So I wanted to know one thing: emergency funds. We accumulate certain amount of 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs as an emergency fund. Where to invest? Any platforms where we can withdraw within minutes of the time. Something coming 2-3 hours. We click out with the click of a button. Share stocks is not the right thing because stocks might fall, might grow up, but 8% is something which is a nominal thing that we can expect. Any such platforms, any such suggestions?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, fixed deposit, right? Fixed deposit, the easiest way. Net banking, click, break a fixed deposit, money is in your account, right? These days, in fact, you have a sweeping FD sort of a feature that a lot of banks provide, right? So you have to set a basic threshold. For example, let's say 20,000. Once your money goes above 20,000, it will automatically convert into an FD. Once your money falls below 20,000, it will automatically converted into a savings money, right? So you have this called flexi deposit, savings, sweep in deposit, something like that. Different banks have different terminologies. But yeah, I mean, this is really helpful. Again, liquid mutual funds. So stocks, equity mutual funds, big no-no, right? Emergency fund, as you rightly said, stock market is volatile. We should not have any exposure to equity. But there is something called as a liquid mutual fund, right? And by the guidelines of SEBI, if you click on the button before I think it's 1 p.m. or 2 p.m., then you will get up to 50,000 rupees of funds will be credited instantly to your bank account, right? Above 50,000, it will be done next day, right? So yeah, I mean, these are a few of the things that I would suggest. Madhu, you're on mute.
Sorry. Few bank accounts directly say that 9% return comes on. I have seen one bank somewhere in Delhi or something, 9%. Is it worth leaving fund in such account or is it putting it in fixed or savings? Is that
See, here is my take on this. Yes, I absolutely agree to you. There are some small finance banks that actually offer that, and it's okay to take some risk because again, till 5 lakh rupees of money is insured under the insurance that each and every bank provides, right? So even if I think it's a DGIC insurance, even if something goes wrong with the bank, up to 5 lakhs of your money is safe. But the other perspective or the point to that, Madhu, is why think about this emergency fund making an additional 1%, right? See, again, emergency funds thought process, or the reason why you have an emergency fund is that it's just there. It should meet inflation, not even beat it, and you're not really looking to make money out of your emergency fund. What you should be applying your brains towards is how do you grow your investment fund from, let's say, 12% to 15% over a long period of time, right? See, 1% over a 1 year time will not make sense. You get 8% on a 1 lakh amount, it's 8,000. You get 9%, it's 9,000, right? 1,000 won't do any benefit to you. But
I have one question.
Huh.
I have one question. We get calls from Bajaj Finance or pre-approved OD or something they call it. You can withdraw 10 lakhs at any point. Morning while I was discussing, is it worth because we get it at 11% or 10 point or 9%, taking that money, withdrawing that entire money, putting it in some mutual fund, which grows at a 14% or 12%. Even
Big
is it
risk.
worth of taking that risk or no?
I would not suggest that. I would not suggest that. See, again, it's growing right now. What if the market doesn't grow for the next 3 years? Right? What if the market falls down for the next 3 years? Right? I mean, why take that unnecessary risk? The market's been performing well over the last many years, but there have been times when the market has really not gone up for 4 years at a stretch. Right? Just think of the amount of stress and tension it will cause you.
Yeah.
So
Good.
just take to what you have. Right? I mean,
Sure.
it's not a good thing to take a loan and invest that.
Sure. If any such communities are there where you also mentioned, right, we don't know where to invest. That's the major thing. We can accumulate fund, but we don't know where to put it. If any such suggestions are there, please let us know. We would be interested.
Yeah, no,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
As I said, all of these questions are something you can ask in the Pennywise WhatsApp group, right? So people can give you their recommendations. In addition to that, we keep doing sessions on other topics as well, as to how do you select a mutual fund, or how do you go about creating a financial plan for yourself. So hopefully, either through Ethica, we should be back someday, or you can again, we keep doing this for our community members as well. So you can join us there.
Great. Thank you, Madhu. Thank you for asking your questions. We'll take one last question. Akshat, up to you if you want to take it from the chat, if you want to take it from the Q&A. But
Sure.
we'll take one last
Is it
question.
good to have, a couple of them? Should we go for mutual funds or life insurance? Two separate products, Nisha, absolutely. And I think there was another similar ULIPs versus mutual funds. Life insurance is not an investment. Insurance is a protection that you buy, and no better than Ethica to guide you for that. So insurance, big no. LIC, ULIPs, they do not give you any benefits. Neither do they help with your investments, nor do they give you a substantial cover. All you need is a term insurance, right? That's it, nothing else. So please, for your investments, go the investment product route, which could either be mutual funds, stocks, so on and so forth. Insurance is not an answer to it, right? Is it good to have a home loan? Well, Rupa, this would completely depend on you. Home loan, I mean, if you really want to buy a loan, if you really want to buy a home and you don't have the money, it's not bad to take a home loan. But at the same time, I would say choose wisely. The place that you want to buy, are you going to stay there for the next 20 years, 25 years? Only then you should go for that, right? If you're there for just 2-3 years, better stay on rent. But yeah, I mean, that's a question that requires a lot more context. So not sure if I'll be able to do justice to answer that quickly. Emergency fund. Would you consider spending health insurance as emergency fund or investment? It's an expense. It's an expense. It's not an emergency fund. It's not an investment. It's an expense, right? So in the expense category tracker that I shared, there is a particular line item for your insurance premiums, right? So just like you are recharging your mobile every month to make phone calls, similarly, you buy an insurance to take care of your health, right? To mitigate the risk associated with your health. So choose that. So think of it as an investment, as an expense, and not as an investment or an emergency fund. Yes, you surely can put SSY. SSY is good. It has its own benefits. So in fact, by the way, the LMS module that Shiva was talking about also has an additional module where it goes into the details of products, right? So the fixed deposits, the high level overview and understanding of mutual funds, it covers SSY, it covers PPF and all of those things, right? So please feel free to go and look into those modules.
Wonderful. Then that brings us towards the end of the session. I'd like to thank Akshat again for a wonderful session. Akshat, thank you so much. Thank you for all the information that you've imparted. It definitely brought some stress to us, but we'll try and cope up with that with all the strategies that you've given us. So thank you so much once again. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all the wonderful audience that we've had today in the session. The chat box was ringing all the time with all the questions, with suggestions. I see a lot of people helped each other during the session, so that's wonderful to see. So thank you everyone for sparing your time here on the session today. We're really glad, and I promise that we'll bring a lot of these sessions again for you on different topics and make sure that you take right financial uh, uh, decisions in life and you grow personally, professionally. And thank you so much. Have a great evening and have a great weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shiva. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. Once again, great audience. I think I found the audience super energetic, super enthusiastic. So, yep, all the best, folks. And please feel free to connect with us as and when required.